Assalamualaikum and hi, we are from group 15. We would like to present about our assignment for business mathematics and statistics. These are our group members.
Hello, my name is Nurfatusna binti Norman. My matric number is A2280971. I want to share the data description in this set C for this assignment. First, we should describe the variable of interest including the type and characteristic as given. As we know, this assignment gives us two main categories of data variables such as categorical and numerical variable. In our option of categorical variable is set and smoking status. Categorical variable or recall qualitative data that describe an object or individual can be divided into two, which is nominal and ordinal data. This data cannot be calculated, but this data can be stored in written form, while the numerical variable is age, body mass index, and number of children. Numerical variable or recall quantitative data that describe that can be measured. This variable also can be classified into two, namely discrete data or continuous data. Numerical variable important to number of ensure objectivity because they have provided factors in a fixed manner. As I need to continue with variable of interest we choose. The two variable of interest we have decided for use in this data set of a life insurance charge with 1339 observation provided for categorical variable in this data set is such. For insured gender and smoke that refer to indicators if the insured is a smoker. Gender is suitable for classifying in categories of categorical variable. The gender has been divided into two, which is male and female. This is an ordinal variable that has a clear ordering, while smoker is also a categorical variable. There are smoker and non-smoker in this dataset of a life insurance charge with 1339 observation. Dataset for smoker is also an ordinal variable. Furthermore, the three variables of interest we use for numerical variable are body mass index (BMI), age for insured, and number of children. BMI is a suitable use in numerical variable. BMI can be measured and thus would be quantities. BMI can be classified into categories such as underweight, normal, overweight, or obese. True, this would be a categorical variable. Second is age. Age can be classified as a continuous variable because it represents a measurable quantity. The age of an individual is counted under numerical variable since it can take countable numerical values. Lastly is number of children in a household are called discrete variables since the possible score are discrete points on the scale. This data cannot be broken into decimal or fraction values. These discrete variables are countable and have finite values.
Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is Nur Umar Kristina binti Muhammad Zawawi and my matric number is A2280899. I would like to explain about descriptive measure by hand calculation. For the number of data in Excel is 1338 observation, and for the number of class K is greater than 11. For age and body mass index BMI, these two are group data. Our first numerical variable is age. It has three categories of measure, which is center tendency, position, and dispersion. For center tendency, we have mean, median, and mode. For mean, the answer is 39.07, and the median is 39.3, and the mode is 49. For measure of position, our first quartile Q1 is 334.5, and the value of first quartile is 26.53. Our third quartile Q3 is 1003.5, and our value of third quartile is 302. For measure of dispersion, Our range is 46 and our variance is 202.25 and our standard deviation is 14.22. For second numerical variables, which is body mass index BMI, the central tendencies for mean is 30.17 and the median is 29.88 and mode is 29.31. For measure of position, our first quartile Q1 for BMI is 334.5 and value of first quartile is 25.70. For our third quartile Q3 is 1003.5 and the value of third quartile is 2844.5. For measure of dispersion, our range is 39, variance is 38.46 and the standard deviation is 6.2. For children, sex and smoker, there is ungrouped data. Children is still a numerical variable, so the central tendencies for mean is 223, for median 198.5 and mode is 574. For measure of position, our first quartile Q1 is 1.75 and our third quartile Q3 is 5.25. For measure of dispersion, our variance is 43,855.2 and our standard deviation is 209.42. For our categorical variable, which is sex, our central tendency for mean is 669. Our median is still 669 and the mode is 676. For measure of position, our first quartile Q1 is 0.75 and our third quartile Q3 is 2.25. For measure of dispersion, our variance is 98 and our standard deviation is 9.90. For the last one, smoker, which is still a categorical variable, for the central tendencies for mean is 669 and median is 669 and for the mode is 676. For measure of position, our first quartile Q1 is 0.75 and our third quartile Q3 is 2.25. And for the measure of dispersion, our variance is 312,050 and our standard deviation is 558.61.
Hello Anyahaya, my name is Kasra Balkis binti Saiful Amiruddin and my metric number is 822A0930. I would like to present about the graphical representation hand drawing in this data set, which is set C. So let's start in the next slide. From the calculation before, we have to make a table and graph. This show the octave graph in each related data in figure 1. This data can be calculated and called quantitative data. Through the graph, the x-axis we put the upper boundary of class H and the y-axis we put the cumulative frequency. The drawn graph must start from the smallest upper boundary value, which is 90.5, and the cumulative frequency value is 0. This graph ends at the x-axis value in upper boundary 69.5 and the cumulative frequency is 1338 from data. The octave graph that is plotted and display increase its curve when the range of the upper boundary becomes larger on the x-axis. In conclusion, the higher the age, the increase the curve move toward the right in an octave graph. Next, in figure 2, T is a histogram graph of the data age. The data is a quantitative and also a numerical variable. From the graph, the x-axis as a midpoint for each class of age, while the y-axis represents the frequency. The graph starts from the left bar point and gradually moves to the right bar point.
At the initial stage, the histogram graph showed that it has increased midpoint value of 70 up to 20, then decreased slightly until the midpoint 37, and at the final stage, the graph increased until 47 and decreased again until 62. Next, in figure 3, the pie chart displays the data of age. The data is quantitative data. The entire circle of the pie chart represents all the age-related data, which amount to 100% representation of the visualized data. There is a different color in this pie chart, which is the different reference for each different in each data, and the relative frequency will change to the percentage of data shown for each value. Secondly, in figure 4 shows that the objective graph in body mass index related data, the drawn graph must start from the smallest upper boundary value, which is 18.5, and the cumulative frequency value is 0. This graph ends at the s-axis value in upper boundary 54.5, and the cumulative frequency is 1338 from data. This is a histogram graph of the number body mass index in figure 5. The graph starts from the left bar point and gradually moves to the right bar point. At the initial stage, the historic graph shows that the bar has increased a lot at the upper boundary value of 60.5 up to 28.5. Then in the middle, the bar decreased slightly from 28.5 until the midpoint at final stage 52.5. In figure 6, the pie chart displays the data of body mass index, so the data will be seen as the before at the each data. The pie chart displays the data number of children that we can see in the figure 7. The data is quantitative data, which is the categorical variable. The entire circle of the pie chart representation of the number of children related in this data, such as 1 until 5 children they have, which amount to 100% representation of the visualized data. The pie chart displays the data of the set in figure 8. The data is qualitative data, which is categorical variable. The entire circle of the pie chart represents all the related data, such as male and female, which amount to 100% representation of the visualized data. Lastly but not least, in the figure 9, the pie chart displays the data of the smoker. The data is qualitative data, which is the categorical variable. The entire circle of the pie chart represents all the type of smoker related in this data, such as smoker and non-smoker, which amount to 100% representation of the visualized data. That's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. My name is Nuri Shafini binti Azhar alias Azhar. My metric number is A22A0848. The question is to use SPSS software and compare the data that we got with hand calculation. The value for mean, median, mode for the data are different between the hand calculation and while using the SPSS software. It is because for hand calculation, we use the group data because it is relevant that the data are arranged into conveniently established, numerically ordered class groupings, while SPSS software are using the ungrouped data. For the hypothesis testing, we perform t-tests. H-null were accepted because the significance level is higher than 0.05, so that we can conclude that there is no association statistically between the age and sex. Next, the correlation analysis. The correlation between all variables such as age, body mass index, children, sex, and smoker are considered weak because the value is between 0 until 0.19. Correlation strength value is 0.109 in the correlation table. The two variables between age and body mass index are very weak because the value is 0.19. For the confidence interval, from the 1338 data that we have been observed, we can interpret that the minimum age of the insured are 18 and the maximum are 64. The minimum for BMI are 16 and the maximum are 53. And the maximum number of children the insurer have is 5. Furthermore, from the table, this can be concluded that in every unit of BMI increase, age increased by 0.253. In every unit of children increase, age increased by 0.486. In every unit of sex increase, age decreased by 0.698. And in every unit of smoker increase, age decreased by 0.830. This is the regression model that is constructed from the following data that we have been analyzed.
In conclusion, through the assignment given, which is set C, there are various types of difference in the dataset of a life insurance charge with 1339 observation, which are the variables selected by us are age, gender, body mass index, children, and smoking status. Through the cooperation between group members, we know how to analyze and calculate two different types of data in two different calculation methods through hand calculation and using SPSS software. In addition, we know how to calculate each dataset collected so that it's easy to create many different type of graph such as a gift graph, histogram graph, and pie chart. This is very important for us and worthwhile for our future in pursuing for a job.